All right, so here we are. Some super good looking gold there. I hope that color is showing through. It is just sort of a brick red with golden orange highlights in it. It is just amazingly beautiful gold. We're ready to melt it down, right? Well, maybe not yet. I did say I like to refine my gold 3 times before I melt it down and make bars out of it, okay? So this makes number 2 for some of this gold. You know, that we started out with dirty gold. Some of that gold had only been precipitated out of solution once. Some of those solutions were really dirty. So we got a lot of crud out of it for sure with this precipitation we did. But you know what? I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm going to do it with SMB again. Because, you know, I used to do it with SMB twice and then copperas at the end. But these days I do it with SMB, then copperas, then SMB again. Because, you know, no matter how much you rinse this stuff after precipitation from copperas, you can't be 100% certain that you've got all those iron compounds out of there, okay? So, the gold looks really good, it looks really nice, but I just don't know that it's as clean as it can be. So, you know, I don't have any way to really assay it, so I'm just going to dissolve this in Aqua Regia again and then reprecipitate it with SMB, and then we'll call it clean enough to make some bars. I think by then we should easily be 3 or 4 nines fine. So let me get set up in the fume hood to dissolve this in Aqua Regia one more time. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. This gold is probably more than pure enough. You know, melt it down already, make some bars. Well, here's the thing. You know, first off, I take pride in my work. Secondly, I don't want to give anybody, if I take this gold to sell it to them, I don't want to give them any reason to knock the price down, okay? So, you know, anybody I take it to is going to test it. And they're going to test it every which way. I've had people saw my bars in half to make sure there's not a tungsten slug inside them. They test them with their meters. They test them with their gold testing solutions. I don't want them to find anything less than 100% pure 24 karat gold as far as they can measure it with their instruments and their tests, okay? So they don't have any excuse to knock the price down on me. So, yeah, I don't know if it's really worth, you know, the risk of the little bit of losses, because every time you do this, you're going to lose a little bit in spite of all the controls I have in place. You know, you're going to lose a little bit. But, you know, I just don't want them to say, well, you know, this isn't quite as pure as we would like, so we can only give you this much for it. So, no. I want this thing to go to 24 carats on whatever meter they use or whatever test they use to test it, so that they just can't argue. They just got to pay me what it's worth, okay? So we're going to refine this one more time. We get the fume hood going, and we're going to make some Aqua Regia. And we're gonna refine it one more time. And I think I was a little light with the acid last time, so we're gonna go up to a full half a milliliter of acid. And you know what? That acid went very, very slightly yellow when I poured it in. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so maybe we didn't get all of the copperas out of there, or the ferric chloride that forms after when copperas precipitates the gold. So, you know, this is probably a good thing. I could have given it a few boils in hydrochloric acid too. I have done that in the past when I was working with copperas, but I knew I was going to redissolve it, so, you know. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to be very conservative with my acid additions. I'm going to start out with about 4 milliliters. It's all stone cold. It's kind of chilly this morning. So put some heat to it, gentle, low heat. Well, medium heat. It'll take a while to warm up. Lid it up. And we'll let it start dissolving, and I'll just add, you know, make additions of acid as necessary. Oh, and of course, my safety, I gotta move that back so that if there is a boil over, it'll come out the lip into the Corningware dish and not over the side. So, okay. So now we're safe and sound and warming up. And I'll just put additions of acid in as necessary to get all that gold dissolved. And then we'll go from there. Well, it's only been a few minutes. The liquid's starting to warm up, starting to get some reaction going on in there. That gold's starting to redissolve. So that's a beautiful thing. Get this stuff back in solution. Filter it one more time, then drop it again. Yeah, it's been a few more minutes, heated up a little bit more. We got quite the reaction going on. I got what, I think about close to 4 milliliters of acid in there. So we're just going to let this reaction run its course before I put any more in. I don't want to have any kind of eruptions. So things are just cooking good. We'll let it cook. Okay, it's been a little while. Notice there's no more fumes, but there's a lot of bubbling going on. I think we've got some boiling going on. So I'm going to turn the heat down. Oh, I don't have my gloves on, so I just want to reach in here and turn the heat down some. It's my new hot plate. I'm not quite used to it. I think it runs a little hotter than I like. So let me get some gloves on, and we'll put a little bit more nitric acid on that because we're not getting any more fumes, so I don't think we're getting any more gold going into solution. Okay, let's put a little bit more nitric acid on this, but of course it's very hot, so I got to be careful. Oh yeah, see that? Look at that. Gotta be careful here. Tickling the dragon's tail. We don't want to have a boil over. And a drop at a time. I think that's about all I'm willing to put in right now. We'll let that reaction die down some, and I'll put some more in. And it also needs to cool off a little bit. It's just too hot. The hot plate's running way too hot. Okay, things have cooled down considerably since I turned the heat down. I think I put some more acid in without worrying too much about an overboil, but I'm going to go slow with it. I can see there's still a lot of gold down there that needs to be dissolved. So, yeah, there we go. Okay, this is a more tolerable reaction rate. I think things were just a little out of control when it was hotter. Okay. So we'll let that dose of acid do its thing. And come back and put in more as needed. Well, I went off and helped my stepson with a project of his for a couple of minutes. Come back and I can see that probably half the gold's gone into solution, but the reaction has pretty much died down to nothing. So it's time for some more nitric acid. And I had a guy leave a comment on one of my videos once about why do you have to add so much nitric acid to dissolve gold? It should be just a catalyst to oxidize the gold and get it to go into solution in the hydrochloric acid. And he's right, it is a catalyst, but it's a catalyst that gets used up during the process. So you have to continually add it until the gold is all dissolved. The nitric acid actually breaks down during the process of oxidizing the gold. So it escapes the solution, it escapes the reaction as nitrogen dioxide gas and water. So yeah, you have to continually add it. And also, if you let this process go on for too long, the strength of the hydrochloric acid is going down because we're boiling the HCl out of the liquid. So, you know, if I dither on this for too long, I'll need to refresh this with a little bit more hydrochloric acid, you know, because the amount of HCl in there is going to be greatly reduced. So, pay closer attention to it now that we're done with Joe's project and see if we can get the rest of this gold in solution. Okay, well that was surprising. I went away for a few minutes, came back and looked, all the gold's gone. There may not have been, you know, it looked like half the gold was gone, but it may have been more than half. So we may be a little over-noxed. So let me mix up some sulfamic acid solution. We'll get this denoxed. We'll get it iced. And then should be able to get it filtered and get the gold dropping later today. Okay, get the heat turned off. Got my usual saturated solution of sulfamic acid here to denox it. And I'll tell you what, you know, the first time we dissolved the gold, there was a whole lot of crud left on the bottom of the beaker. This time I see absolutely nothing on the bottom of that beaker. It's just perfectly clean there. Oh yeah, got some extra nitric in there. Oh well. In fact, it looks like I got a lot of extra nitric. Probably, I would imagine my whole last addition of acid may have been unnecessary from the reaction I'm getting. Okay. Yeah, I definitely overnoxed it. But you know, we're talking just a few milliliters. One or 1.5 milliliters at the most. I forget how much I put in with my last addition of acid. It wasn't that much. Okay, that looks pretty denoxed to me. Let me get some ice. I took up a lot of space in there with the sulfamic acid, but I can get some ice in there. Let me take it off of the hot plate and put it on the cool hot plate so it can start cooling down. Now we'll get some ice. Okay, we're iced up. Once the ice melts, we'll be ready to filter it. I don't see anything in there, but we're going to filter it anyway, just in case. Just to be sure we get good clean gold. Filter it, and then we'll drop the gold again. Okay, the ice has all melted, but we're full up pretty close to the brim on this 1 liter beaker here. So I'm going to transfer it to this very clean 2 liter beaker. I'm going to do it over this Corningware dish, so if I spill anything, it'll be easy to recover. Because sometimes when you pour from an overfilled beaker, it tends to get messy. People ask me, you know, why I use the Corningware beakers, and that's just to collect spills. Because, you know, I'm working with gold here, it's valuable. And then they ask me where I get them. Well, I get them at garage sales, yard sales, whatever. This one still has the $5 price tag on it from I bought it at a yard sale, but I don't think I paid $5 for it. I think I dickered with the lady and got it cheaper. What's left in here? This is undissolved sulfamic acid. Sulfamic acid actually has a fairly low solubility. There's quite often some left in the bottom of a beaker after I denox the solution. It just doesn't want to dissolve. But that's okay, it's done its job. You can hang out there, it'll get filtered out here in a minute. Okay, now we've got some breathing room. More reasonable sized beaker here. Heck, while I've got this out, I might as well just do my filtration in it, just in case I get sloppy and anything runs down the side of the flask. You know, it's a fairly concentrated solution of gold there, so you know you don't want to lose any of it. Not even a drop, really. We'll get this filtered, and then we'll get some SMB on it and get it dropping. Okay, so another little trick is if I use one of my stir sticks, I can direct the liquid down the stir stick exactly where I want it so it doesn't slop around everywhere. And I can catch that last little drop on the lip of the beaker so it doesn't run down the outside. We don't want to lose that last little drop because there's a lot of gold in every drop of this stuff. So yeah, we'll get this stuff filtered. So it shouldn't take long because there's nothing to clog up the filter. I'll wash the color out of the filter and then we'll be ready to drop the gold. Okay, all the liquid's gone through the filter. We've got the undissolved sulfamic acid caught on the filter here. I'm at the stage of just washing the yellow color out of the filter, which actually takes a remarkably long time. You wouldn't think it would take so long to get all that yellow color out of the filter, but it does. And a lot of distilled water, but that's okay, because we're just further diluting the liquid down here. And kind of counterintuitively, at least it's counterintuitive to me, maybe it makes sense to other people, the more dilute your solution is, the better the gold comes out of solution. I would think, you know, it would want to stay in solution if it were more dilute. But no. It's easier to get it out of solution and it comes out nicer if you've got a dilute solution. So we're just further diluting it. With rinse water, we're already up to almost 1,200 milliliters, so yeah. Okay, I've cleaned this 2-liter beaker. Not that there was much to clean. It was pretty darn clean. And once I'm done rinsing, I'll dump this liquid in here and we'll drop the gold. That is some really good looking stuff. Not a trace of cloudiness to it. Not a trace of green to it. That is some beautiful gold in solution. Beautiful clean gold in solution. Ready to come out of solution. Okay, we get the fume hood going. Get some SMB in here. We'll drop this gold for what should be the last time. And I'm hoping we'll catch the color change. It should be dramatic. It should be easy to see. Not like in a video I released a little while ago where I was working with my anode slimes from my copper refining cell. That Aqua Regia was so darn green and opaque I couldn't really see the color change when it happened. But this stuff is a different kettle of fish altogether. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's gone black at the bottom, but it's still orange in the middle of the top, so I'll put a little more in. Yeah. Give it a bit of a stir. Every once in a while I've gold-plated my stir rod doing that. I'm going to put just a little bit more in because it looks like there's just some orangeness to the top there. That looks like that ought to be enough. Okay. Yeah, that looks like that ought to be enough. Okay. Maybe a very slight film of gold on the stir rod. Okay. We will let that settle and see what it looks like. And you know what? Maybe my eyes are deceiving me, but it looks like it's settling already. Clean gold will settle quick. So, let it go. See what happens. Oh, okay, it's been maybe 1 minute, and you can see how it's settled. Yeah, how it's clearing from the top down. That gold is settling out of solution really quickly. You have a look at something. Yeah, there's a little bit floating on top. So yeah, that's some clean gold when it settles that quick. I love it. Alrighty, I hope that is showing up. That liquid is absolutely crystal clear. All the gold is on the bottom. There's nothing in the liquid. It's not green. It's not yellow. It's not black. It is clear. So we've got some good clean gold on the bottom of this beaker. So this is sat overnight. because it was pretty late in the afternoon yesterday when I got the gold dropping, so I just let it sit overnight. So I'm going to do my usual thing. I'm going to siphon off the bulk of the liquid, get this gold into a smaller beaker, and start giving it some distilled water boils to clean it up even further. Then we should have some really, really clean gold that's ready to be melted down. Alright, let me get this nice, clean, clear liquid siphoned off of here. Now, I like to get this liquid off the gold before I start boiling it, because I have had problems in the past with the gold going back into solution. There's still hydrochloric acid in here, and I don't know why. I'm not enough of an inorganic chemist to tell you why, but sometimes if you boil gold in hydrochloric acid, some of it will go back into solution, and I don't want that. I've had that happen to me on multiple occasions. So I want to get this liquid off the gold before I start giving it boils to clean it up a little bit. Plus, there's probably some impurities in this liquid too. I want to get rid of them, and we'll just boil it in distilled water. So I'm siphoning this liquid into my temporary stock pot as per usual. Boy, the temporary stock pot's getting pretty full. I have just stopped the bubbler in the main stock pot, so I'm going to let it settle for probably about a week, and then I will siphon liquid out of it into my stock pot. Hopefully I have got that sorted now, so I'm not going to be transferring a lot of precious metals into my waste bucket and having them cement out with the waste copper. I have a whole series of videos on processing the cement copper from my waste bucket, because I found that I was dragging way too much precious metals over into the waste bucket, and the cement copper that I'm producing in the waste bucket has gold in it, unfortunately. So yeah, I've got a whole series of videos on that. Build an electrolytic refining cell. Been refining some copper bars I poured from that cement copper in that waste bucket. Very popular series of videos. Check them out if you haven't seen them. So anyway, I hope I have my whole stock pot and waste bucket issue sorted out. And that's not going to be an ongoing problem. And I don't have to run a copper refining cell forever. I could just take that cement copper waste out of my waste bucket and melt it down and take it to the scrapyard or something. That'd be nice. But I'm not going to take it to the scrapyard if it's full of gold. Scrapyard doesn't pay enough for scrap copper that's full of gold. Okay, there we go. Alright, I will get this into a smaller beaker and start giving it some distilled water boils. Maybe I'll give you a look at it first. There it is. It's a very nice color. I like that color. Beautiful. Okay, so let me get this into a smaller beaker and start giving it some distilled water boils. Okay, we got a good boil going on in there. It's maybe boiling a little harder than I like. It's bumping a bit. But I'm going to turn the heat down on that, pull it off, and dump this liquid off and give it a couple more boils in fresh distilled water, and then we should be done. Well, there's our gold after being through the boil 3 times. So next step, let's melt it down, cast some bars, and weigh them up. See what we got left here. Alright, it's time to melt down the gold. Now, the gold here is nice and dry. You don't have to dry your gold before you melt it. I just knew I wasn't going to be able to melt it for a while, and I left it sitting on the warm hot plate after all those boils, and well, drying happens. It was just insanely windy this morning, with all kinds of stuff hitting the roof, and you know, I was actually afraid that the wind was going to blow the gold out of the crucible. So I waited till the wind died down. I could hear myself think, you could hear me, and I didn't have to worry about wind blowing my gold away. Oh, I don't know if it was blowing that hard, really. That's a fair pile of gold in that crucible there. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so let me get started here. Let me get preheating the ingot mold. You always want to preheat your mold so you don't have a steam explosion when the hot metal goes in it. Even the least trace of moisture on there will flash into steam when you hit it with 2,000 degree metal. And then pretty soon you got metal all over you, because when it flashes into steam, it flashes out all over you. I put a little anhydrous borax in here. Help things flow along. Torch lit. This is kind of a new setup for me. Whoa. I'm actually using a propane torch instead of oxyacetylene. I ran out of acetylene. Wow, that is one potent fire. Let me turn that down a little bit so I don't blow the gold right out of the crucible. Wow. I swear the flame's 2 feet long coming out of this thing. Alright. So yeah, I ran out of acetylene, and I thought, well, I can go get another expensive acetylene cylinder. I've got all these propane cylinders sitting around. I brought a propane tip off of Amazon and put it in my torch, and hey, we're going to melt gold with propane today. See how well this goes. We do need a little bit more flame here. Like I said, this is a little new to me, so bear with me if this takes a little while longer than usual. I did melt down some silver with this torch, but I really don't have a lot of experience with it yet. Oh yeah, the gold is melting, so hey, we're getting plenty hot enough. There we go. Get a little more heat on it now. I don't have to worry about blowing the powder out of the crucible. Now that it's melted and stuck together enough that that's not going to happen. Oh, that is a big puddle of gold, let me tell you. See if I can get it all consolidated without spilling it. That would be nice. Not easy with gloves on, but better than burning my fingers. There's lots of little beads of gold there that I need to consolidate. without spilling it. There we go. Well, that didn't turn out too good. You know what I might do? I might just turn that out and remelt it while it's still hot. Pretty ugly. Well, let's remelt that and try again. Take two. There we go. All melted again, all consolidated into one big bead. Let's try that one more time. Come on. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, that's a little better. It's not the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but hey, it is very pure gold, so how bad can it be, right? And it doesn't look like I really left anything in the crucible either. Sometimes there's little beads that stay in the crucible. Hey, look at that. That is just, I don't know how well that's showing up on the camera, but the color, the luster, it's just perfect. I mean, you could tell if you got impurities in your gold, because as it solidifies, they get excluded from the crystal structure and pushed to the outside. And you can tell by the luster on the surface, or lack thereof, how pure the gold is. This is just amazing. Amazing. I mean, it's not the most beautiful bar I've ever poured, but shape-wise, but wow, that luster, that's amazing. That is just to die for. Okay, let me get the scale out and we'll weigh it up and see what it weighs. Okay, I don't know how well that is showing up on camera, but that is just an amazing luster to this this little bar I poured. This is what gold is supposed to look like when it's really pure. Okay, let's find out what it weighs. $29.38. So we lost about... It's windy out here, so this may move around a bit. So if I'm doing the math right in my head, we lost, and I see that's bouncing around, but we'll go with 29.33 because it tends to get lighter over time from the wind. So let's see, 29.33. So we lost about 1.18 grams, and I'll bet most of that loss was the crud that was on the bottom of the beaker after the first time it was dissolved in Aqua Regia. There were some nasty solids down there. Don't know what they were, but they weren't gold. So, yeah, and I just did a little bit of loss in the filters. There were a few little drops that went stray, and I cleaned up with a piece of paper towel, put in with my paper storage. So, you know, I really haven't lost them. They're just kind of in limbo for now until I process my filters and other papers. But yeah, hey, that is almost an ounce. It's a little shy of an ounce of gold. And I'll tell you what, the price of gold has been on a tear lately. So that's a beautiful thing. Let's weigh it again and see. Yeah, 29.39. Well, yeah, we'll go with that. I like that number even better. So anyway, with the price of gold on a tear lately, I'm holding a lot of money in my hand, and I'm a very happy man right now. And that's some very pure gold. If I go to sell this to somebody, nobody's going to argue with me about the purity of it. It's 24 karat, period, end of story. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, educational, informative, inspirational. If so, give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Give it a big like. Leave some comments, suggestions, anything that strikes your fancy you'd like to say. I'm open to suggestion, always. Subscribe to see future videos, and check out my second channel, ElectroGeek64. Subscribe there too, and on both channels. Press the little bell icon that YouTube makes you press to be notified when new videos come out, so you'll be informed when they do come out. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.